Hello, everyone, and welcome. I hope you can see and hear as well. We are here for you to show you some very cool books, but first of all, let's say hello. Hadi!
Hello.
Let us know if the audio is good and if you can hear us good. I am here as a guest to Hadi.
Yeah, of course.
I'm just popping in. We thought that because we had a very big drop late yesterday for us Europeans and midday for you living across the pond, we thought that we will cover these two drops that dropped. And the two drops that dropped are Werewolf the Apocalypse, Shattered Nation, and Vampire the Masquerade, Gehenna War. What do you think about these so far, Hadi?
Huge fan of Shattered Nations. And that's not just because I'm running a Werewolf Chronicle, but like really knocked it out of the park. Really enjoying it a lot.
I
Or enjoyed it a lot, I should say.
this is going to be like a bit of a hot take, but because that's not it's not true. Okay, don't take it as a truth. But
Okay.
from what I've seen people saying about Shattered Nation so far, when it comes to the usability at the tables, it seemed to be kind of a player's guide before we get the player's guide.
Yeah, okay. See, that's I don't know what people who aren't storytellers like how they read the books. I only know how I do, and as a storyteller, this is like a storyteller's guide.
Yeah,
This is so good for
yeah.
me.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. And by player's guide, I meant like a companion book to the core book, which really
Yes.
expanded on its core
Yes.
and very core themes that it explores. So, Hattie, why won't we start with the general table of contents and see what's
Oh yeah.
there?
I
And
should I should have my PDF open.
no worries. And you can
Yeah.
tell me all about, because you've read the book most recently. I've read it a little bit earlier than Harry. So I
Yeah.
think Harry has the freshest mindset on this. You can tell me, insert any of the comments you have about the things we're gonna introduce.
Sure. I'm also hyper focused on Werewolf at the moment.
Good.
So that's another thing. But so Shattered Nation is exactly what it sounds like, right? At one time there was the Garo Nation, and now it's the Shattered Nation because the nation has shattered
Yeah.
with all of the problems going on in the world in during the apocalypse or after the apocalypse, up to interpretation. And what this book does is it basically lays out Garo society for you as it is now and gives you so many cool options to do, like moots. And it talks about moon cults and it talks about like different ways to fight your enemies. Pack creation, which is my favorite thing of all time. New lore sheets. It's super cool. I like it a lot.
I want to talk about moods so badly, but we have to wait for that a bit because I think that's in the later part of the book. But first of all, the cover. I love this artist. He's been featured quite prominently recently in V5, not from the very beginning. So he's one of the newer artists who has been working on V5 called Nevzat Aydin. One of the first times you folks might have seen him was Bloodstained Love. You know these very nice painterly pictures where he was doing the kissing vampires and the bed scene. Like that was Nevzat, and what a good artist! I really love his works. I would love to see more featured in the future stuff because Nevzat is really good. And this cover is nice. I like how it's kind of depressing though.
Oh, well, let me say, okay, I said I wasn't going to say anything, but let me say it was really shocking to look at this picture and see, like, oh my gosh, the cover of Shattered Nation is Jonas Albrecht from Werewolf, from the older Werewolf. I couldn't believe it. I was so shocked. And I think that's kind of, and you'll see him later on in the lore sheets down
Yeah.
at the bottom.
Well,
But he's a Silverfang. He was called, oh God, I can't remember anymore. He was called like King Wormfoe or something, or like he was from the House Wormfoe. He was a Silverfang like leader, like hugely renowned and popular and stuff.
awesome. And yeah, there's a plenty about this character and what is he doing now in this book.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're gonna dwell into that deeper. But let's go. Yeah, that's the general sum up of what we have in this book that you probably have seen already on Renegade's site. Pack dynamics: take action as a pack, use, learn, and portray the rights of the Garou, including 20 new rights. Run and participate in moots, which is my personal favorite part. Deal with the enemies and choose one of the 7 new lore sheets. Can I also say, before we get into it, you guys will see it when we go down to the lore sheet chapter, I really like the new layout for the lore sheets. They're really cute.
I do too.
Yeah, they look good. I can actually
They look real good.
I will scroll down and I will show people how they look like. Look at this. This is so nice. And the art is just like really cool. And it just, yeah. Anyway, I am going back to the table of contents. And here's how this book looks like from within. This is the most important part of the stream for you folks to know what will you be able to see once you open the book. And that is Chapter 1, Strength in the Pack, with the big focus that this book puts on pack play, making of the packs, pack types, which are kind of similar to coterie types, would you say, Hari?
Yes. Yes. Obviously quite different in their goals, but yes.
Yeah, so coterie types, of course, there was more impact put on them in Player's Guide later on, because I think like as the 5th edition like moved on with new and new books, it came to be pretty clear that as much as individual players are, it's great to put an impact on making everyone stand out, but it's also super important, especially in games that are as dark and close to realistic as World of Darkness, to give people a reason to work together and not necessarily always have individual agendas, individual convictions, individual, things that they are aiming for. So, and this is especially true to Werewolf, where packs are supposed to be much more tightly knit and probably better for each other than coteries.
Well, yeah, there's a very like underlying thing of, Gaia has many enemies, and basically you fight for each other, you bleed for each other, you die for each other and for Gaia.
Yeah.
So.
And you can see here, I can actually move this a little bit for you folks by moving, there we go, by just doing this zoom out. You can see all the pack types which are included in this book. Activists, Avengers, Banishers, Kern Guard, Couriers, Diplomats, Evangelists for Luna, Hellraisers, Monkey Ranchers, Occultists, Penitents, Reformers, Scavengers, Veil Keepers, and Watchers. Do you have any of the pack types that stood out for you, Hari?
Oh yeah, Evangelist for Luna.
Wow.
That immediately I was like, I gotta get in on that.
give me all the deets. Why do you think they're the best?
So in Werewolf, there's sort of unlike with Vampire, because mostly like in Vampire, your enemies tend to be other vampires. In Werewolf, there's just so many enemy types that could cause a problem. It's sort of like Hunter, where there's just so many enemy types that are so and some people might feel spoiled, like there's too many choices, but I'm spoiled for choice. I absolutely love it. And I love the idea of a moon cult. I love even more the idea of a pack that's part of a moon cult.
Yeah, that really sounds super interesting. I wonder if do you think that it's also going to be important for people when they pick a setting for their chronicle? Like, where do they want to
I'm sorry, Outstar, you cut out. Pick a what?
Pick a setting, for their chronicle. Like, which particular pack type would fit that particular setting? Do you think that's something that can inform it? Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you wanted to be, for example, Evangelist for Luna, I think it'd be really hard. Maybe not. Actually, I think actually a lot of the pack types, now that I think about it, could play for both. Like if you were playing in a smaller town, for example, I think an Evangelist for Luna would probably work. It just might be more dangerous because you would cause a lot more attention to yourselves, as opposed to being ones in a city. But I definitely think that there are strengths and weaknesses to all of the pack types, but I think you can make all of them work in whatever setting you pick, honestly.
I'm actually going to do something in here, and I'm going to go to the pack types and do pick Evangelists for Luna in my little table of contents to see how they're built up, so people can actually see some preview. Moon cults dedicate themselves to the service of Luna, the spirit of the moon and Gaia's sister. They venerate her in the same way the other guru do Gaia, and some even go as far as to declare that doing so is the only natural response if Gaia is indeed dead or dying. While moon cults aren't considered fallen or actual enemies, to say that theirs is a controversial belief among guru society is an understatement. I love that. So
I know.
we have some dots in here. We have territory, community, spirit, spirit pact, pact flaw, and adversaries. Of course, there are also possible extras. How does the pack formation work exactly, according to the new Shattered Nation rules?
How does the pack formation work?
Yes.
What exactly do you mean by that?
How do, like, for example, if I want to, let's say I'm already playing a chronicle, and
Mm-hmm.
my pack is we were playing by the rules of the original core book, and I'm like, oh my god, this looks so cool. I want to now implement this into my
That's what you mean.
chronicle.
Well,
So
for that, you got to scroll up a little bit.
yes, let's do it. I'm gonna.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand what you meant. First, you scroll up a little bit. I think it's
Mhm.
page 16 or 15. 15 or 16.
Yes.
15, I think is where it starts.
Yes, I'm doing this, and also
Yeah.
at the same time, I showed people some art. That's really nice.
Yeah.
The troop pack system.
Yeah, 14. Oh god, I'm
Mhm.
so off.
Yes.
Yeah, which really you can come right here
Mhm.
with your players and you can make your own pack. And it's sort of, you got all these tables here for your territory, community, spirit. I love the community table, by the
Oh
way.
yeah, let me just scroll down. So we have a territory, which is basically what kind of a territory you have, and
Mhm.
then we go to community, which is the suspicious or unnerving. Oh yeah, so it's basically, let's say, what kind of a relationship you have with the townmates, right? Basically,
Yeah.
yes. This is so cool. This is great. And the spirit as well. So would you say that this is kind of easy to implement to already existing chronicles?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Because, you know, really, as I already stated, really with vampire, as you already stated, but with vampire, you have to sort of, there has to, I mean, of course, we're all just people sitting at a table and we want to play together,
Yeah.
but you know, there's sort of like, it has to be like a logical reason why you would coalesce together as a group. For Garu, there's really not, there is a singular reason to fight the enemies of Gaia, to fight the worm,
Yeah.
right? So there's a singular reason that you would gather together, and you know, a wolf alone is in danger, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, you can absolutely take any troop that you have, any pack that you have, and you can implement these things pretty easily. I was doing it privately, not telling my players, just sort of, you know, like making how I would imagine it in my head just to see how easy I could plug and play it.
Yeah, and also this is great because it immediately tells you in a very clear way what does these dots actually do. So, for example, the community table and the dots that you get in there.
My favorite table.
Yeah, one pack per member may use their community rating as a dice pool bonus towards social tests made toward human storyteller characters the pack member meets for the very first time in the context of their community. So say, like your hometown, you meet someone there that you haven't spoken on before, and that's where that dot comes in. And same with the spirit rating. So once per session, one pack member may use their spirit rating as a dice pool towards bonus towards social tests made towards any spirit the pack members meets for the first time. So that's really fun, and it gives you gives everyone in the pack this sort of ability to shine a little bit better as a group effort.
Yeah. Something else I want to talk about, but it's not super pertinent to the pack thing, but it's something that I wrote down because it jumped out at me immediately, and I was like, I love this. I'm trying to remember what page it's on. 30 something, 38.
38. I'm going to find it, and on the way, I'm going to show people some art because there's some
Yeah.
really nice art in this book. I've been really enjoying the art. There's this one art with the shadow of two werewolves
Yes.
that I'm going to
Yes.
scroll down to at some point. Which page again? 35?
38. Under
38.
generations.
This font is really nice. I like the fonts that are like human writing, but they're actually readable.
Yeah, that's nice. We all enjoy that.
Yes, 38. Yes, set grievances, right?
Generations.
Oh wait, generations. Yes, but set grievances also sounds great.
Set grievances is also good. Yeah, but generations. So you know, a lot of the players I have don't have. You know, I have one or two who really know Werewolf, and everyone else hasn't played Werewolf.
Yes.
And so there was a lot of questions about like, and me as a storyteller said a lot that, you know, Garo lives are short and violent, and a lot of questions as to why. And I really appreciated this layout of generations, of a first change at 17 to a death at age 40.
Yeah.
I really appreciate this because this really puts into perspective exactly how short and exactly how violent a Garo's life is.
Wait, let me just see very quickly. Can people see the stream very well? I'm just making sure right there.
I think so.
Yes, everything is good. Sorry, because something happened just on my end, and OBS was like, "No, it's not happening." But it's
I have my
good.
PDF open, so I can't see the stream at the moment.
Yeah, it's good. All is good. Chat, let us know if you can see us properly. But yeah, all right. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, you didn't. I just really appreciate this. I mean, again, like I said, I play with a lot of people who, don't know Werewolf.
Yeah.
And, and I'm a blabber. I'm a yapper from way back. I'll talk about any lore from any of the settings forever. But this is super helpful. Having these here from an official source is so helpful.
Yeah. And it's also something that people may have trouble imagining coming into Werewolf from not only Vampire the Masquerade. Vampire the Masquerade was one thing, but also other settings, other TRPGs in general. Like, say you jump from D&D to this. You're like, okay, how does my life really work? Like, this is a very basic thing. How can I, what kind of a life does an average person like me have? And I think that this really helps out. So really like this inclusion.
Yep. Sorry, I'm being so weird. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to use this to like, do a 3-day moot in my chronicle. I'm so excited.
We are absolutely weird by default in here, so that's completely understandable. But I want to go back to the table of contents and actually talk a little bit more about the septs, because we do start in one of the beginner parts of the pack chapter. We have the relationship of the pack and the sept, and then later in the chapter 2, Among Wolves, we talk a little bit more about the Garou society and, for example, the various positions in that society. Among humans, how do Garou actually act around humans, and how does that relationship work? Opinions on the Shattered Nation, which is also very good, but then we also go into various septs. Why do you think it's so important to give people more info on the septs?
Oh, well, I can say from personal experience running Werewolf is that I had a couple of times where I needed to run a moot, and I needed to establish a sept, and I felt myself a little like, oh gosh, I don't know how to like build this from the ground up, because I wasn't using an established, because you can go to the core book and you can see like established ones, and I should have used one because I'm in Germany. I should have used Sept of the Blood Fist in the Black Forest, but I didn't because I'm smart. And it's sometimes a little difficult to like build up a sept in the way that you want it, and know all of the intricacies of how a werewolf would run a sept, or how werewolves would coalesce, would gather, would celebrate, would do rites of funeral rites and things of that nature for fallen Garou. And this is just so helpful. It lays it out so well, and you can pick and choose a la carte. It's great.
A la carte.
Yeah, well, that's how I do stuff. I do everything a la carte.
Tailored experience. And we are going to go to Gehenna War right after we cover Shattered Nation. So no, we haven't covered Gehenna War just yet. But with these septs, has any of them particularly stood out for you, or do we want to just pick one by random to cover?
We can pick one by random. There was one. I'm sorry. I'm trying to follow along with you. Where is septs?
We have chapter 2, Among Wolves. So we have pages from 60.
Sept of the Bitter Frost. Does that sound right?
Yeah, Sept of the Bitter Frost, 63. Let me check it out for people, because I want to know more about these. Chapter 2, Among Wolves, and Sept of the Bitter Frost.
Yes. This is why. Okay. Yes, it was because I saw like a sept that's run by the Cult of Fenris, and I was like, yoink.
Yoink. One thing I want to say, as you see this page, I had the physical book in my hands, and basically the new kind of a tab system that I've seen in this book, with the chapters being marked on the side of the page when you open the book, is just so handy, because then you can very easily see which chapter you are when you just quickly browse for the book and you're like, okay, I need something from this chapter. So this is good. I feel like it takes a little bit remembering to remember which glyph means what. It's very nice visually though, and it does give you, like, after you get used to the glyphs and which glyph means which chapter, it really helps in navigation. So we have Cult of Fenris sept described in this book, together with, of course, super awesome artworks. And the sept parts are separated into history, culture, characters, stories, and then I think the Great Hans is actually the other chapter. So you get all of the stuff for each of these septs if you want to insert them into your chronicles. And going back to the table of contents, next we have the new rights. So chapter 3 gives you. Sorry, what?
I said yes. I have notes about this.
Yes. So it's a rights of the moon. So we have mystical rights, social rights, minor Garu social customs, story weaving with rights, using social rights in play, which is also interesting, and learning new rights. Have you, in particular, have any like favorite rights so far from this book, or not yet?
Well, yeah, I do, because it helps me, you know. I should put this out. Anyone who's watched me knows I do a lot of homebrew, because I do stuff that makes sense to me that I like. But I love in the mystical rites the rite of renunciation, because I have a reformed Cult of Fenris member who wanted to leave their tribe and join a different tribe, and we just sort of, did it, via story, not via mechanics. But here there's a rite of renunciation that allows you to leave your tribe and to change things about, who you have as a patron spirit, and I like that a lot.
Wow. So what's the new tribe, or do we not know? Like,
no, yeah, Gelstalker.
Okay, that's nice. I love it.
Yeah.
I do like the fact that Werewolf, that's of course gets some getting used to when you go to Werewolf from other TTRPGs in general, that you can choose one of the major starting things that you start with usually, which is a tribe, and that's something that you can change. Like, just like you cannot change your clan, I guess you can pull multi-class in some other games, but the original class stays. Here, your tribe is something that you can definitely change, and it's really cool.
Oh, I'll start from back. There we go. Okay, you cut out for me again. Might be me.
Oh no! I hope I'm not cutting out for everyone. Yes, so we're going to go back to the table of contents to give you some more info before we jump into Gehenna War. Saga of the Wolf, Chapter 4, Moots. That is something I love to talk about, but I would like the more elaborate out of our duo to give people...
Well, okay, I'm going to ask you questions. What do you like about Moots?
But I want you to first say to people who have no idea about Moots, what are Moots? If you can give them...
Yeah. Moots are a gathering of Garu for various reasons. Could be there's a new enemy in the area that needs to be dealt with, or it could just be a celebration, or it could be the airing of grievances, as all the tribes do not get along, in the sense where they have different approaches to fighting the worm, or fighting for Gaia. So the Moots are when all the werewolves of a sept gather together and they hash out their problems, or deal with a new threat, or celebrate the life of a Garu who has fallen, stuff like that.
As a resident vampire player, would I be absolutely wrong and horrible and blasphemous if I said that Moots are like Elysium, but amp it up to 1,000 and make it better organized and more fun?
Yes. A lot more fun.
A lot more fun,
in my opinion. There's a lot less. I mean, maybe if it's like a sept full of shadow lords, but there's a lot less subterfuge going on, at least I find. And it's great. It's a great place to do social interactions and stuff, because so much of Garu is very action based. So it's great to just have a session of just chit chatting with other wolves in the sept.
I would actually say, wouldn't it be interesting to even put a whole chronicle during a moot? Like, I'm sure you could do that, right? And just like make this as a whole story just happening based on this chapter of the book. Because when I was reading through that, and I was like, oh my goodness, like imagine the fool. There's a role of the fool, for example, on the moot, which is a werewolf that is usually a ragabash that just goes around and either offends everyone or asks them like very pointed questions. Imagine someone like that in Elysium.
Yeah, I mean, again, my Werewolf Chronicle hasn't come out yet, but the first 5 prologues take place entirely at the Sept.
That's amazing. I love that.
The first 5 prologues take entirely there, nothing else.
So yeah, this chapter really gave me a lot of ideas of what to do during my chronicles and what fun stuff to put. I just like the base play, having some kind of a base, a haven. It's maybe because I was raised in video games where you had your home base or haven, and the moods and gathering around the fire just to do something crazy from there seems really interesting.
Hear that? Petition for Outstar to run a Werewolf Chronicle.
No, I'm not going to. No, I can play. I can play, but it's
Petition
one.
for me to run a Werewolf Chronicle. I'm already
Yes,
doing it.
yes. I can play with you. I would love that. But when we jump into this chapter 5, which is speaking with the enemy, with the estranged,
Yes.
the lesser estranged hostile spirits, other shifters. That seems like a very enigmatic description of a chapter, simply from the table of contents perspective. Can you give us a little bit more of an insight of what we can find in there?
Yeah, well, specifically when you said other shifters, what they're speaking of, which again you can read in the core book, what they're speaking of is soul and moon, which again they look sort of esoteric of you as a storyteller or as a table to figure out how you want to interpret who they are. Somehow they got the ability to shapeshift, and you can determine how they did that.
Yeah.
Or they're sort of like sort of calling back to legacy lore, sort of a Farah-esque thing with bears, crows, spiders. What's the fourth one? I've actually forgotten.
I'm
Like where
actually
they
going
can
to
shift into different things.
I'm going to skip in there. So we have also other shifters in here, Bane spirits and Fomori, other shifters. So yeah, this is like all the mentions of relationships that Garu have with other creatures.
Rat.
Rats, yes, rat. There we go. Yeah, we have bird shifters, we have rat shifters. And and speaking of which, I'm actually going to scroll straight down to systems because that might be something interesting. I'm not going to show the whole. I hope you folks will understand that that's something that is interesting in this book, and I don't think it's that many of the pages. But that's additional stuff that you can take, for example, for character creation, like new merits and flaws, new rights. I do want to talk about stench. I think it's great.
You want to talk about what? Sorry.
About stench, the flaw.
The flaw. Yes. Sorry, I was looking at the lore sheets.
Yeah, your breath and body odor are supernaturally foul, reminiscent of wet dog and sweat socks. Even bone now are subject to your stink. You can take minor steps to minimize the stench, such as splashing on plenty of cologne, but that causes other problems. Lose 1 die from seduction and similar social dice pools, and lose 2 dice from stealth pools against the opponents who can smell, unless you are upwind.
I love that.
I imagine someone taking this flaw and asking storyteller, "Am I upwind?"
Yeah. And of course I'm a huge fan of like additional banes in Vampire the Masquerade, so having an additional ban is also fantastic.
Yes.
That's a great flaw.
Of course, that is great. And I'm going to scroll a little bit through the book as the basically very last look, just to give you some glimpse on the really good art that is being found in there. Do you remember where the picture with the 2 werewolves and the shadows?
Shadow.
Because I remember that one so vividly, and I really want to. Oh my God! Look, you can pet the wolf with this book. It's official. Page 112. You can pet the wolf. It's gorgeous. Oh yeah, look at this one. That's another picture from Nevzit for sure.
All right, hang on. It is page 95.
95. I'm almost there. This one also was great. I think this character is the same one who has the lore sheet in the book, isn't it?
Oh, sorry. I have to look at the stream. I'm looking at my own.
Yeah. 105.
Yes.
So there is a character who's a gay man, and he has an ability to transform into a werewolf, a wolf of a different sex.
Oba McKinday. Yeah.
Yes, and this is really cool because with the lore sheet you can do that too. If you want to be one gender as a human, and then when you homid, and then when you change into a wolf, you change gender, basically, then you can do that. And there is a lore sheet for that now. I like the fact that a lot of art in this book also features characters which are displayed in other parts. So you can see some characters twice. For example, this art is great. And I am almost there at the page 95. Oh, this one, look at it. Oh, I love this art so much. With the little shadow. Check the shadow. It almost looks like they don't like each other in wolf form, but it's really good. So, Hari, any wrap-up comments for Shattered Nation before we move to Gehenna War?
Sorry, I was reading Oba McKinday's lore sheet because I don't think I went through it. No, or is it Ross the She-Wolf Jackson? Yeah, I think it's Ross the She-Wolf Jackson because I was like, wait,
The
where's the
she-wolf, yeah,
thing that I was
it's
gonna
a
say?
she-wolf for
Ross the
sure.
She-Wolf Jackson, that's the one. Okay.
Yes,
I
yes.
thought I
There's
was losing my
it
mind.
is
So
it is
sorry.
literally the lore sheet power is literally called Transwolf,
Yeah, it is.
and you
It
can
is.
yes, and you can change into a wolf of a different sex, which is so cool.
That's so good. I love it.
Yes.
Shattered Nation. I'm a huge fan. I think it's great. I love that there's a separate sheets here for Karen and Pax, so that you can have that in addition to your character sheet. Um, I think there's so much that you can do with this. There's so much to play with. There's a great sort of kickoff thing here with Jonas Albrecht in it.
Mm-hmm.
Super worth it.
Yeah.
I'm hyped.
And if you don't trust us, I recommend you to join our Discord at discord.gg/World of Darkness and read what the first readers think about the book. I've opened a separate channel in which I urge everyone who read the book already or had a look at it to give your reviews, let people know what you honestly think about the book. And also, because I opened this channel a little bit later after the release, a lot of people already posted a lot of their thoughts and opinions in Werewolf the Apocalypse channel. So you can also navigate in there in order to read like first impressions, first views, what people like about the book, what people were like, oh, what about this, what about that. So that was really fun to read since yesterday. And now I guess it's time for some vampires, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you so much for posting the link, and we will put the link in the description as well if you're watching us per recorded. And let's go to Gehenna War.
Goodbye, werewolf. I love you.
Goodbye, werewolf. Not forever. Just for today, okay?
Just love werewolf so much.
Yeah, it's like I think werewolf is for you what Hunter is for me. It's like my little baby.
I love. Well, get me a new Hunter to talk about. And we'll talk about it. I love Hunter too. I'm just a huge nerd, just a huge fan.
I know. I'm a nerd for Hunter the most. I do love werewolf a lot. I need to like play a full-fledged V5 Chronicle because we did a lot of playtesting for Werewolf, and but that playtesting was very focused on testing particular things. But I haven't actually played like a full, just laid back story I can play off work, So I'm looking forward to that. That'd be fun.
Play with me. Come play with me.
I will. All right. The eternal struggle at your doorstep. By the way, folks, I know we have. I've spotted two mistakes in the book so far. Just letting you know from the very get-go. One is that there is this very funny typo on the back cover, which is the criticals. It was fixed on a Renegade page, but it wasn't fixed in the PDF just yet, and unfortunately, it made it into the printed edition. But we've notified Renegade about this, so this will be fixed. And another one we've noticed, if you folks have the book already, you probably have noticed that one of the lore sheets has a repeated first dot power. Two of the lore sheets have a repeated first dot power, basically. So it's copied among these two. This will be also fixed, and we will update you on that as soon as we can. But Gehenna War, overall, this is also a very big step forward into the tools and helpers of basically making 5th edition like more grounded for every types of play, I think. What do you think?
Yeah. I'm sorry. I am on the page that Beckett flirting with Agata, so I was just reading it again because it's so great.
We can start with that just so you put your mind into other things, because I think I cannot hold you any longer. Can we talk about this? Which page is it?
Well,
which page?
God, 12. I'm sorry. I'm the worst when it comes to Beckett.
It's absolutely fine. We can actually scroll through it. We'll go back to the table of contents. Don't worry about it. I'm just scrolling through it now.
I'm sorry.
Getting some art. We are going to page 7, 8, 9. That's a nice art. I like it. Page 12. Mm-hmm. Do you want to be Beckett or Agata?
I'll be Beckett.
Okay.
I'm glad to see you, Agata.
What?
Times such as these make for strange bedfellows.
Are you hitting on me?
Please, this is no time for levity. You can play your little games of intimidation and fear after the war has washed over the domain and we have counted the survivors.
What do you mean, little games? I've killed people for less.
I'm certain that is true. You have to decide now if you wish to spend your nights dealing with such petty concerns, or you may look at signs of power being exercised.
What power?
Neither of us resides in this domain. We're but visitors. I'm used to deciphering ancient texts and forgotten artifacts, but that doesn't mean I don't understand the significance. When there's an explosion on the waterfront, violence at the Museum of Natural History, wink wink, and all of the remaining Camarilla elders have vanished into their most secure hiding places.
Fuck, something big is coming.
Good girl. You're getting it. You're seeing the signs.
Did you just call me good girl?
Yes.
Fucking hell.
You have any idea how many times I've read that?
10 out of 10. Also, this line from Beckett's, I'm not saying, but I'm saying. We don't have to say anything. We don't have to say anything.
That's why I said wink, wink. We don't have to say anything. Wink, wink.
Wink, wink. Yes, I'm going back to table of contents to give people, now that we have that done with, and we got it out of our systems. I understand fully. It's amazing. Let's talk about what is in Gehenna War. We have chapter 1, Fearful Awakening, with the originals of the war, Where, the Beckoning, Diablerie, Who, Enkidu, Kemintiri, Plaguebride, Shalim, Tiamat, and Urshulgi.
Yeah.
What do these names tell to people who maybe do not? Maybe they remember Urshulgi in particular from some of the previous V5 mentions. But can you introduce with like a catchphrase of what this chapter would be to someone who maybe just jumped into V5? Is like, what is going on?
Catchphrase. Old, ancient vampires.
Yes.
Practically gods.
Yeah, so can we expect for them to have any of our characters have any opportunity to actually stand against them?
Probably not. I mean, unless you have a really nice storyteller, most likely not.
Yes. And we are actually going to start with that chapter, going to the page 11 and giving you folks a little bit more of a of the overview of it. So chapter 1, Fearful Awakening. Let me just give you a little bit of the part of this text to get you in the mood of what this book is all about. The majority of the kindred in the world have no idea that the Gehenna War is raging. It's a secret war, masked and hidden by mortal violence. The Gehenna War's most intense hotspots tend to occur in war zones and areas where violence and terror has already flared up, so that a dozen more deaths don't stand out amidst the general destruction. The intelligence agencies comprising what vampires call the Second Inquisition are aware of some of the war's less discreet manifestations, but they've yet to connect the dots. It's hard to grasp the idea of an ancient Methuselah when you're still theorizing the blank-body gangs like the Toreador and the Camarilla sometimes fight each other. So the book goes deeper into the concept of the Gehenna War and Gehenna itself, as well as does touch upon the very, very ancient vampires who are kind of behind it all. How deep do you think, like, if you would have to sum it up, how deep do you think this book comes into establishing this event? Or from what angle, maybe that's a better question.
Well, what's interesting about the book is that it doesn't give you the answer.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
It basically lets you know how each sort of faction of vampires, and it gets a little bit more specific, like talks about the Church of Cain and their view on it and stuff. But it lets you know their opinion, what they believe, where, why, when, and how the Gehenna War is happening.
Yes. And as you can see, we are, like, I'm just scrolling through it, but you can probably grasp that it is slowly weaving the tale of how people are finding out about this, how kindred are finding out about this, where is it happening, and Gehenna War may erupt anywhere in the world, and it's most often fought in country, cities, and neighborhoods with a lot of history. So it's also like kind of, you don't think about Gehenna War as something that is happening in one singular area. It's more of a widespread thing. which this book also covers when it comes to places. Then we are basically going a little bit deeper into the setup and how it can affect your chronicles. And based on this book so far, Hari, do you have any cool ideas of how you would incorporate Gehenna War into, let's say, just a general chronicle? You have a city, you have vampires, you have a prince, you have anarchs that are having the regular conflict with the Camarilla, maybe some Sabbat sprinkled all over. How does Gehenna War come into place in that setup?
Well, we're at high, and I was trying to incorporate into a chronicle I was already running. I would definitely wait until we get to the Methuselah section, because that's probably my way that I would do it. However, later on, we can also talk about my favorite jumping off point that is in this book that I think is perfect for a one shot.
Okay.
But if there was something I wanted to incorporate, but that I didn't want to do Methuselah's, I was too because that's a big ask, to role play someone so old and powerful. I really like the other factions that are fighting the Gehenna War, because some of them, to me, one of them you'll have to pronounce for me because I don't know, but some of them are so interesting that I kind of want to explore them even outside of the idea of the Gehenna War. The first one being the Moon's Army, which is Sabbat hit squads that specifically hunt Tremere and Salubri. I don't know why, but
which page are they on? Let's read about them.
18.
18, yes. I am on, other factions.
I think they go into more detail in some other part of the book, but I saw that and I was like, what?
I'm actually going to Control F this thing because that's very cool to get into. No, that's just basic. No, wait. We do have, there we go. So Moon's Army on the page 110. So this is the chapter, let me actually scroll a little bit up in here to tell people the chapter. Fighting the War, I believe, is the name of the chapter. After yet another conversation with Agatha Starek, but this time with Theo Bell. We're not going to get deeper into that. So on page 110, we have the Moon's Army. Sabbat hit squads hunting Tremere and Salubri agents. The Sabbat Seraph, Zhongbei Moons, I hope I pronounced it right. Hosts consist of many individual packs, but none as fearsome as Moon's Army. Operating exclusively in Central and South America, the army is efficient. They travel to a city, hit their target, and move on to the next. They don't care about claiming territory for the Sabbat. All they care about is hunting pawns of the Tremere and Salubri Methuselahs, and they have proven themselves quite good at it. Much of their success comes from Rigoberto Vindel, a Salubri warrior and seer. Through his visions, he can identify targets of opportunity with surprising accuracy. However, unbeknownst to Vindel, Goratrix the Betrayer is responsible for his premonitions. The infamous Tremere Methuselah and founder of the Tremere House Goratrix, the guy's still alive, has old scores to settle and is more than happy to manipulate Vindel and, by extension, the Sabbat into attacking his enemies. There you got it, folks. Goratrix is still there.
It's okay. So the answer is Goratrix. It's Goratrix's fault. Well, should have seen that coming.
Well,
but for me, that's great. That's great.
that is really good.
Use that.
Yeah, and we have more info about that. We have scenes, of course, of how you can use them. We have more info about Rigoberto, so together with the stat block that you can use in here. So yeah, that's pretty cool. And we have more of that later on. But yeah, I am going to now go to one of the example. Let's say Urshulgi. Let's say our bro Urshulgi is going to be here. This art, by the way.
Oh boy, not Urshulgi.
So good. I'm just going to give you some previews of that art of all of these wonderful characters who are completely scary. And Shalim is probably my favorites. It's just such a horror concept.
I like Tiamat, but
which one do you think we should explore in this?
Shulgi's fine. Okay, I'm super fine with Shulgi or Shalim, whichever one.
Yes, let's go to Shulgi then. So we have Banu Hakim, 4th generation, and in this, basically in the breakdown of all of these characters, you have clan, reputation, description. You do have some of the, of course, lower to give you some information, rumors. And as you can see, you don't necessarily have stat blocks, and that's good. Because you have to treat them as characters that they are basically plot devices. It's not someone that you can take on in a regular fight, or that rolling against this particular character, not against the situation that you're in, is going to really do anything. It's they are supposed to be completely mystical forces of power, and like existing somewhere as a plot device in your chronicles, and that scares me. Like, I think it would,
Well, yeah, that's the point.
yeah, it would be much less scary, I think, if they had like a proper stat block, and if you roll like 5 successes, then maybe they will look at you. Like, I don't know. It's really, yeah.
Maybe they'll look at you before they kill you.
Before they kill you, yeah, exactly. But I also like that Tiamat is assumed to be Ventrue, perhaps of the 4th generation, and all of that rumor stuff is just beautiful. And I can go chapter by chapter, going back to the table of contents, but you did mention something about one specific chapter you wanted to cover, right?
Well, oh no, I mentioned a specific story that I wanted to show, but that's way at the end.
All right.
It's okay.
All right. Then we are going to chapter 2, We Who Are Already Dead, with archetypes playing with power, advantages and flaws, disciplines, rules of engagement, and undead armory. Let me jump straight into that with a little click. And this is dwelling more into the idea of conflict, and conflict at your tables, not necessarily between players, don't do that, but in between your characters, the NPCs, and how to deal with that. There's a lot of more ideas basically to games which are more action oriented, in which you want to play against some sort of an enemy and get a little bit more information from the book on how to play this. So you have also the archetypes for few kindred found among the Gehenna War, but not only the Gehenna War, really. These can be more broadly applicable to all of the chronicles, and the general names should give you the spot. We have negotiator, we have a spy, we have a recruit, we have the veteran. And I would easily, I think it's not very hard to take them off the concept of the Gehenna War and insert them into people's chronicles.
Not at all. That's they're super plug and play, super easy.
Yeah, as we said, we like to take our TTRPGs a la carte. So we take a book and we just pick some things that fit our chronicles, but we're picky. So that's how we play. If you want to just go totally by the book, it's absolutely fine.
Just super neurospicy, so I just need to it just has to work for my brain, and that's it. That's my only reasoning.
Exactly. And we do have the focus specialization, which is also like such a nice way to build characters quickly. I'm always looking for ways to is it maybe not only for myself as a player, but also as a storyteller when I build NPCs and I just have to quickly get the sheets out. We're coming up with a lot of ideas on how to make it easier for everyone, but I think the more books come, the more tools are in the books and both in and outside, basically.
Absolutely.
Yes. I'm rambling. Do you want to tell a little bit more about this chapter before I get on another rambling spree?
Well, in this chapter, there's also advantages and flaws.
Yeah.
Which are super cool. Super interesting new flaws. My favorite being a diablerie flaw.
The sins of the fathers?
No, inherited bane.
Oh,
you gain another clan's bane in addition to your own.
Wait, it's not in bonding. It's not in sins of the fathers. Oh, here.
Diablerie flaws.
Oh, yeah, you're right. You gain another clan's bane. Oh, that's amazing.
I love that. Tremere may select this flaw to gain the Salubri clan bane without having committed diablerie. I love that too, for reasons that are totally silly.
Can I make a character like this right away? Can I find? I will go back to playing a Tremere if I can have third eye. This is the only
You heard
way.
them, folks.
It's so good. I need this. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's my favorite. I wrote it in my notes.
Also, the Blatant Diableris is something one of my characters has to take. No, it's a rule. But oh my god, no, I have to make this character right now. Wonderful. And
I just
now,
know my players will want it.
yes, I'm not going to go over everything because I'm spoiling a lot of the book, folks. I know, I
You're
know.
spoiling so much.
I'm spoiling so much, but we're going to go to the next chapter, which is Never Stay Still, which is about the action story. So we're going deeper into after we like chapter 2 is more about your character and what you can build with it. But now that we go to 61, page 61, we are talking more about the general style of play, and that's also super useful for storytellers who want to insert some more action into your game. So, how do you approach action in your chronicles, Harry?
Well, that's the thing is I have been told that I do more action in my chronicles than like the average that people have played.
Mm-hmm.
But I tend to make it something that's happening in quick time. I don't necessarily use the 3 and out rule, but I tend to make it something that happening right then and really quick, and then there'll be long lulls of more social stuff.
Yeah,
So I find this chapter really like interesting to me and something I'm really going to have to read through more closely
yeah,
because I kind of struggle with vampire and action.
yeah.
That for me it's a little bit of a struggle, so I'm hoping the chapter will help me out.
There's one other struggle which I think is super interesting because I don't think it happens that much to people who approach the like I think we share that when we storytell, like we approach the vampire games more in the idea of like we have ideas for really cool characters, for example, or
Yes.
some really cool setting, and when we think about weaving a chronicle, it's like, yeah, let's make players really fall in love or make hate these characters so much, and go from there and see how the story unfolds.
You played the one shot with me recently where like the very end I had a werewolf thing, but I wasn't expecting anyone to start fighting. I was expecting you to run away. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but the thing about like in general Vampire Chronicles that a lot of people seem to struggle with, and that's something that maybe because we focus on characters so much we don't see, is the
Yeah.
fact that usually in TTRPGs players have jobs of some sort,
Mhm.
not directly like a 9 to 5, but it's like you go to a dungeon and you are supposed to kill a dragon, right? Or you are sent by someone to do something. In vampire, it's a little bit more difficult because as much as you might have a quest giver, because usually people just default to this quest giver thing where you have a prince that's caught you doing something bad and now you have to do something for him as a favor, you have to clean up the masquerade, like that's a typical sort of a vampire story. People would, I think, have much easier idea writing a chronicle or planning a story if they thought about it, for example, as a heist or as an escape.
Well, just as you mentioned that, when we get to the parts where we talk about the stories, I will absolutely come back to that, swing
Yeah,
back
yeah,
around to that point. That's such a good point.
I know which part you mean now. But yeah, it's exactly like this sort of like a keyword that maybe gives you an idea of an action movie, some movie you watched in the past, and you're like, okay, heist, yeah, we can do that. What heist? Oh yeah, we were tasked with like there's something very weird happening in the Chantry, and we gotta do a heist in Chantry or something, and like it immediately gives you ideas of how to make a chronicle from just a very simple action perspective. And
Mhm.
I think it's easier to write it, like especially as a beginner storyteller, a story based on that rather than weave this network of relationships and diplomacy, and like it's just a cool first thing to base stuff on that you can build up on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so setting the stage, action needs a villain, of course it does. So no one sees themselves as a villain. That is also a very, very, very true thing. There's a lot of really good advice in this part. It's just so inspirational for any storyteller, I think.
Yeah, I think I mean, I read through it really briefly and I was like, I'm gonna have to watch a couple of John Wick movies to really get into the mindset of action.
Yes, which is,
So
by the
bad.
way, it's kind of Vampire the Masquerade movie. It is not officially a Vampire the Masquerade movie, but it kind of is.
It kind of is. It kind
It
of is.
kind of
I
is.
love John Wick. I just haven't watched it in a long time. So like, I'll watch John Wick, and then I'll read through this, and then I'll write stuff down, and then I'll got it.
Oh yeah,
Got
absolutely.
it.
Gehenna War, it might be like I was worried a little bit that maybe people who do not know what Gehenna War is are not going to connect the dots. But with the theme of this book, you can think John Wick and just jump into it, and you will understand
Yeah.
quickly what's going on. And the
Yeah.
book is available for pre-order owners right now. So you can download it and you can go through it yourself if you own the hardcover pre-order. So if you bought the book, you can get the PDF right now. And it will be available for general sale soonish, usually within a month. So yeah, just ask Renegade folks. I do believe the PDF is going to be available broadly to everyone pretty soon. So yeah, which I'm going to actually go in here. Chapter 3, Never Stay Still, is okay. That's the action one, and now we go to chapter 4, Faces of Evil, with layers of conflict, storytelling, action, horror. Which is like that's something, because when I was thinking action and Gehenna War and the Methuselahs, I was like, you can go with the action to some point, but the horror aspect very quickly comes in. And this game becomes, fear, alien, like
Yeah. So I'm binging all the Alien movies too.
yes.
So I can watch Prometheus and feel like I know what's going on. Sorry, Prometheus, Romulus, so I can feel like I know what's going on.
I was
but
thinking, why Prometheus now? I mean, I liked Prometheus, but I'm probably a
Romulus.
minority.
Too many alien blanks.
Yes.
Using the ancients has really caught my attention when I was reading through this, because like the very first thing I was like is like, well, there's lots of ideas that you can do with ancients, like what is someone so old and so powerful? What do they want?
Yes.
What do they want? So this was great to have, and obviously they want to do things that are so alien to like even an elder who's been alive for 500 years. It's so alien to them as well. So this was great. Great read.
Yeah, and this particular paragraph I'm highlighting right now is just something that is like a ground to everything in here. These Methuselahs are immensely powerful and fundamentally unknowable. The general rule is that the Blood Gods are not enemies that can be vanquished in battle. They are too old and too powerful to be destroyed. They're like a force of nature that the characters can survive or redirect if they play their cards exceptionally well. This is the core of why you won't find stat blocks for Methuselahs in this book. But again, my opinion is always like, if you want to somehow include this at your table, if you want your players to take down Shalim, because why not, you do it. This is like, it's for your fun, but come up with some really extensive and very scary stat blocks. That's my suggestion.
Yeah. But I like the idea of distracting them.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Distraction. The ancient seems intent on drinking the blood of as many kindred as possible, so the characters trick an anarch pack to get in its way. This buys time for the players and characters to escape. And then you have a lot of like very, very painful descriptions from the storyteller of how these really cool characters died one by one.
There's also a list of possible goals a little farther down.
Yeah.
And it's like, 1, devour your bloodline. 2, create a world of blood. Build a kindred empire.
Which page are we talking?
96.
96. Oh, I missed that. It's become aware. Blood. Oh yeah, the ghost. There we go. Yeah, devour your bloodline, foil the plans of an enemy, create a world of blood to build a kindred empire and annihilation. I love it.
Existence is fundamentally a mistake. I love that.
This is very Shalim, isn't it? Like, yeah. I think Shalim would be like, you know what? Yeah. No, we deserve nothing.
Let's start over.
Let's start over. I love it, and also very achievable goals for very normal vampires.
Yeah,
that's the elders for you. That's the Methuselahs for you. And now we go deeper into the dogs of war, fighting the war, violence versus other factions, cults, and groups. So that goes deeper into the topic of Gehenna War. We also have war stories, bloody business, hunting lions, midnight chase, summit at the Dragon Star, and various story seeds. So we have 4 more build-up stories and more story seeds. Oh no, I went down too quickly. Which one would you like me to cover?
Midnight Chase. You're right there. You were right there. Midnight Chase.
There we go. Why this one in particular?
All right. So here's why. Listen to this scene hook, right? I'm going to read it to you. I was like, if there was I don't know, for any reason that I ran a one shot of Gehenna War, this is the one I would do. And here we go. Ready?
Which one are you reading?
Midnight Chase, but
The beginning.
specifically reading the hook that is have gun will travel. That's the hook.
I'm going to scroll down to it so everyone can see it.
Should be
Yeah.
page
Yes.
139.
Yes.
At a diner on the outskirts of the city, the player's characters sit in a secluded booth. The time is well past the hour when decent folks go to bed, leaving the establishment nearly empty. Amid the sense of frying oil and stale coffee, the night shift staff goes about their business while casting the occasional glance towards the clock. On the table in front of the characters rests an envelope sealed with the prince's crest. When they open it, they find a letter inside. Jackson Burke, it begins, is the lowest of our kind. He's a traitor who ran to the hunters of the Second Inquisition. Several of our brothers and sisters have met their final deaths because of his actions, including my grandchild. I want him brought to me, still kicking and screaming. Included are the train's coordinates and timetable, but after tomorrow, this will be useless. You have one night, just one, to intercept the train and bring Burke back.
We're
And I
playing
was
this.
like,
we're playing
yeah,
this.
oh yeah,
Oh, wow. What a hook. I love this.
yeah.
I might want to run this now that you sold it to me.
Too. Me too.
Wow, this book, like, the deeper I go into it, I had a, first read on it when it was still not layouted. It was still like pure text. And I was immediately like, what they're going to cover in a book that is so much focused on one particular sort of like mysterious event happening across the fifth edition, that it seems to be, for at least, majority of the fifth edition stories, very distant, very like it's a part of it, there's like a thread of it, but it's like the distance of it made it into this horror theme that was very enticing and alluring to me. And then when I read this book, I was like, there's so many great hooks, and it doesn't diminish the horror aspect, it only makes it greater. Like it's really like that was my first feeling when I was actually reading it. It was that the horror has expanded and the ideas have improved, like the pool of ideas is now better than it used to be.
Yeah, and I really hope this gives me like lots of inspiration and like tools, because as we already discussed, action is harder for me to run as a storyteller. I want the tools. I want the tools to do it better, to do it fun.
Yeah.
And we're all about having fun.
And this book definitely does that. So we are going for yet another 2 chapters. I mean, we are going to give you a little bit of a preview of the lore sheets with Beckett. But we'll start with rolling for it, appendix. So there's this appendix is actually giving a little bit more info about rolling, which is important during action scenes, because you don't want to necessarily, like, you do want to roll a plenty in action scenes, but not too much to break the momentum, which usually can be really fun. I did have like a lot of fun encounters in my role playing with some players who were definitely not role playing enough, not rolling enough. And that was during the action scenes when we were playing in the play-by-posts. Like there are some players who would just like write the action scene unfolding and they would not roll in the very middle of it. But this appendix is definitely something required in this particular setting and then in this book. It's something that really helps out with this.
Yeah, and I really like the uncommon dice roll pools. They give me great ideas like charisma and stealth.
Yes, let me.
And strength and finance. I love those. That's amazing.
So that's also, yes, that's super cool. I've been using some of them already. Like I think it's super fun to be creative with the dice rolls. I think also a lot of people skip rolling attribute twice, which is sometimes very cool too. If you're really like you're just using your sheer strength. There's nothing else that you're working on. Just do strength and strength. But strength and animal can to hold my dog when my dog wants to eat the candy. Like stuff like that is also great. Yeah. So I'm going to actually do a little bit of a scroll through this. Beautiful little passage of failure shapes, not stops the stories, and talking about how to deal with failure as a storyteller. Not you being a failure as a storyteller, because you're awesome, but failure of the dice and of the players. Failure and action horror, which is, yes, absolutely, failure always stings, but especially hurts in an action horror chronicle, and it's supposed to because it's fun.
It's supposed to hurt.
It's supposed to
Sorry.
hurt.
I'm sorry.
And then the beastly interruptions, which is also like a balance to be striken.
Yes.
So
Okay.
yeah.
Ooh, I like this. I like this. Sorry. There's a table below this.
Yes.
That is such cool, messy critical. I need this. I immediately yoinked this table, and I'm like, I need this for messy, because my players roll messy criticals so much, for skill messy criticals. Oh, I loved it.
Yes. I'm definitely previewing this one for folks. So yeah, we can check out messy critical examples and bestial failure examples for each of these, and it's great. Like what that happens when you drive and you are having like a bestial failure. The beast's arrogance forces the character into making a critical error, for example. And with insights, because usually what we've done so far in a lot of chronicles I've played in, but also seen as a watcher, is people just fail the rolls that got either messy or bestial, that don't seem to be physical or violent.
Oh no.
Yeah.
No.
That's what I often see. Like people like say you're doing wits and awareness, you're like, oh, you failed, and that was like the default thing. But
With a messy critical?
yeah, no,
Oh,
bestial failure, for example, or messy as well. Yeah, because people were like, yeah, if it's just you know, something like you're observing something and your beast comes to action, the beast basically like overwhelms your like, you know, feeling and your ability to comprehend things, and you just fail.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, that's what I've seen like very commonly at play.
Oh, I only ever do that if it's like a passive thing. Like if there's a Nosferatu somewhere and they do wits and obfuscate and they roll a messy critical because I'm trying to determine if, like, for example, the Toreador can see them with Auspex, then I usually don't make anything happen to them because it's just so I can see what their roll was. But if I make someone make a wits and awareness roll and they roll a bestial failure, absolutely something's going to happen because I'm mean.
I mean, and I love that. I think something should happen because that, you know, you should fear the dice. But
fear me.
fear Hadi specifically, but also the dice. And yeah, so I love this to give people ideas, because I think it's mainly just coming out of the lack of ideas and just having to come up with something on the go. And it's easy to say, oh yeah, you've been just thinking about blood, you fail it. But this gives you a ready-made table.
Oh, you're such a nicer storyteller than me, Answer. My goodness.
I know. I haven't been doing that. I have also been punishing my players. Don't worry about this. But I am a bit lenient towards players. I give them some leeway.
You don't make players get ripped in half by werewolves?
Don't remind me. Don't remind me. And speaking of lore sheets, can I tell you again how I really like this lore sheets setup? It looks really beautiful with the art.
It's so good. I love it so much.
Yeah, and yeah, Beckett. Let's talk about Beckett. Like I have to say, I do have a soft spot towards Beckett. I feel like not as much of a soft spot as I had as a teenager. I kind of grew out.
No, that's been replaced with Kadir.
Yeah, but I still have a bit of a soft spot towards him. I think he's still like, if I had to have a figurine of any Vampire the Masquerade character on my desk, it would probably be Beckett. But like like with a little wolf on the side, just so he's cute. Yeah, and yeah, there is now Beckett's lore sheet. So it's great. This first dot, folks, we will talk to the designers from Renegade, and we will ask for as quick of a fix as possible, because it repeats in another lore sheet, and we want to make sure that you have the right. It was basically a layout mistake because it's written down. So I will give you the right one as soon as I can through both Discord and, of course, the update of the PDF.
I find the Beckett lore sheet kind of interesting because it's like I'm not totally sure like what your connection is to Beckett. Like maybe you like tutelaged under him at some point, or just like hung out with him.
Maybe
so I'm not like super sure.
Maybe he called you a good girl.
I wish.
Like he did to Agatha Starrick in the other part of the book. But with that in mind, I think we are a little bit past the time, and
Oh, we totally are.
yeah, we went through both of these books. I hope that this was a little bit more of a it gives a better insight into what's in these two books. If you have joined us later on, you can also scroll back to the beginning of the stream and watch the part about Shattered Nation, in which we talked about the Werewolf book that also released just now for the pre-order owners. And I'm so happy with these two books. I'm really glad that they're out, because that's so much more tools for everyone to use.
As a storyteller, I'm always delighted.
Yes, more.
Yeah. I'm a huge glutton for it. Give me more, always.
Yes. So thank you so much, folks. We will join you later, and do stick to this channel for tomorrow. Hadi will come back to you and do
Book of Hungry Names. I have been told by chat that this will probably be the last part. I hope. I've loved the game. It's just really long.
It is long. I mean, it's Kyle Marquez. What did you expect? He's probably
Yeah, I
gonna
know.
release some updates that will like extend it by another 15 hours.
He so would. He so would do that.
Kyle is awesome. We got the survey, by the way. If you guys haven't filled the survey yet, do it. We can. How can you drop it in chat?
Sure. Let me go find it.
I'm so happy about this. Okay, so we have a survey going on where everyone can just chime in, fill it in, give us your opinions about stuff, and tell us about what you think about World of Darkness, about what you want to see in the future, what products you are interested in, what video games you're interested in, and just write an essay in the end, because why not? I am currently browsing through a document of thousands of these essays. Thousands, and I will read all of them, every single one of them I will read, and my team is also reading. It's not only my my task, but we're all on it. We're tagging, we're giving like, you like V5, you don't like V5, you're doing this, you're like this, you like that. And tons of people really liked, specifically mentioned Kyle and his games, and they're like, please, more Kyle games. There's been so much love towards Night Road and Book of Hungry Names.
Oh my, Kyle is just a powerhouse writer.
Yes.
Whoa.
So if you haven't seen his work yet, do join us on the stream tomorrow to check out the Book of Hungry Names, a werewolf interactive story. And I hope to bring you more in the future with some more stuff. And do prepare for October, because we're preparing some really cool Month of Darkness for you. All right. And that's it. Any last words, Hadi?
Absolutely. Check out these books because they're so good. And as a little werewolf fangirl, absolutely check out Shattered Nations. It's like an expansion to the core book, and it's just so lovely, and I love it.
Yes. All right, folks. See you later, and don't go last night. Bye-bye.